Hey everyone, I am back. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. I hope that you have had a wonderful and amazing week. And for those of you who are joining the replay on Dr. Nekeshia Hammond YouTube page, be sure to like this video, share, and subscribe to the page. And thanks for those who are starting to join here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Let me know in the chat where you are tuning in from today. For those of you who are new, I reside in the Tampa Bay area of Florida. Today I am in Orlando. I have to think about it. I was like, wait, where am I at? Because it seems like it's always a new city. But all good. So a couple things before I start today's mental health moment. First, if you're new to mental health moment and you're like, what's happening here? What's going on? Mental health moment is all about how do you work on becoming the best version of who you are, so you can show up powerfully for yourself and for the people around you. So we're here live again every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, learning different ways to improve ourselves and our lives, and of course that trickles out into other people around us, which is a great thing. But but before I get started today, I wanted to share a few things that was on my heart. First and foremost, if you haven't seen already, you may be in various different parts of the world watching this, but of course, there has been a major hurricane that pretty much headed straight for Jamaica. So please keep Jamaica in your prayers. For those of you who are not, for those of you who are new to mental health moment, you may not know, but my mom's side of the family is from Jamaica. I have some, well, distant to me, but close to my grandmother relatives that are still out there. They're like directly in the path of the storm. So please keep the whole island of Jamaica and, of course, loved ones, friends, family in your prayers. So I ask that for you today. And hopefully we will hear soon from our family members who are out there. And we're, yeah, there's a lot of different resources, though. There's a lot of different ways to help. Please be cautious, of course, with anything. I've lived in Florida almost my whole life. I've been through a lot of different hurricanes. Unfortunately, there are people that try to scam the system, unfortunately. So please, in whatever way that you can help this situation, please, yes, definitely reach out, but also make sure that who you are giving money to or funds or supplies or whatnot is actually a reputable organization. Of course, just make that disclaimer. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, I did share Essence magazine actually had a post today with different ways that you can help, different reputable organizations that can be helpful through the hurricane recovery efforts. So I reshared that. Well, I put in my stories and also on my page under like the reshare or something like that. So if you follow me on Instagram, you can go there to find some reputable resources. But again, for those of you who are just tuning in, I was just talking about briefly before I start today's mental health moment, just to keep the island of Jamaica and surrounding areas, whoever is impacted by Hurricane Melissa, in your thoughts and in your prayers and your good vibes, whatever you have to give, please send those out into the world. And but like I said earlier, there's a lot of great organizations that are already there and or about to be there and can help with the relief efforts. So if you're just tuning in, let me know where you're tuning in from today. I'm not going to, I'll be completely honest with you all before I start today's mental health moment. I'm still doing today's mental health moment, but it has been a bit difficult the last 2 days, honestly. It's been a lot. It's been a lot. I've had to take some breaks from social media. Personally, there's just so much coverage of, there's so much coverage about the hurricane in Jamaica. And of course, having family over there, and growing up with my mother and grandmother and just Jamaican household and all the things, it just hits a lot closer to home. So just like I share with all of you all to protect your mental health, I've been doing my best to do that as well. And also working with my friends, and we have like a friends chat of just different ways we're going to try to help the community over there. So, but I'm here with you all today. Okay, that was one thing that I wanted to share. The other thing, so I know some of you had reached out. So I don't even know what we got on last week. Last week, last Friday, I can't believe it was only a couple days ago. Last Friday, in case you missed it, was my second annual Growth Mindset and Self Care Summit. We had it live in Atlanta. Super grateful for everyone who attended. I know some of you had asked about having a hybrid conference in the future. That one was only live. I did see and hear some of your suggestions, so we will be doing that. Yes, we will be doing that for the 2026 summit. But coming up here soon, I'm working with a team. We're going to be getting the replay available, and I'll give you all that information when it is available because it does take some time for that. And I will share that with you for this year's, for the 2025 summit that we just had. But it was a blast. I was super grateful for everyone that was there. Really good times. But again, I'll share more information about that as it becomes available. Okay. So those are my two things. Well, yeah, there's something else I want to share too, but it's not official yet. So I'll just wait and announce it on my socials when it is official. Nonetheless, okay, it's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Okay, so today's mental health moment, I wanted to share a couple of tips with you specifically related to what I call mental decluttering. Because it's really easy, you all, for us to get caught up in our stuff, the day to day, the stresses of the day, the to do list, what's going on in someone else's life, what's going on in our lives, right? Like it's a lot. The world around us, social media, it can be a lot sometimes. So I'm going to give you 3 tips today on just ways you can think of starting what I call like a mental decluttering, right? Because it's very easy for us, especially I find that towards the end of the year, maybe some of us are really busy for those of us who celebrate holidays, but maybe we have a little bit more time. We try to clear out closets or someplace in your home or somewhere else. You start to sort of declutter, especially when they say, right, spring cleaning as we head into the beginning of next year. Like there's this idea of clearing things out, which is important too on the physical side, but also on the mental side. How are we doing with our mental decluttering, right? I have family still there right now in Jamaica. So we're doing our best to, my grandma, I should say, doing her best to try to connect with people, but it's really hard with the phone lines and all that right now. So slightly anxiety provoking, but we are sending lots of prayers. We're all doing the best as a community. I have a very close, amazingly supportive group of Caribbean friends that we're like all in a chat, just finding ways and getting reputable resources together and just finding ways that we can all help in the way that we can over there. So, but thank you for asking. Yes, I do. So this has been a little bit harder, this hurricane. Yes, thank you for your prayers. So again, so when you think about mental decluttering, then one of the things that makes the mental decluttering task a little easier is when this tip number one, when you think of having what I call like a decision-free zone, meaning sometimes we get caught up, especially when we're stressed out, we get caught up on small decisions that if we made the decision ahead of time, we wouldn't really have to think about it so much. And what I mean by that, for example, right, is sometimes, I don't know about you, but sometimes we get caught up in like, what do we eat today? Like, what do we eat for breakfast? Or what do we wear today? Or like, right? Those like little decisions that if you know your week is going to be busier, let's say, and you really need to work on like decluttering because you have so much on your mind anyway, the things you can do, and I have done this before personally. The things you can do is like set aside your clothes, let's say for a couple of days. Sometimes, well, oftentimes actually, especially when I travel, it's a little easier because I don't have my whole closet, only have a certain thing, but I'll just put things together in a closet. I'm like, okay, I'm wearing, this shirt, this pants to get like these outfits, like this is for this day, because what you're allowing your brain to do is not have to think about that minor task in the morning, right? The same thing with eating. Sometimes you don't necessarily have to meal prep unless you want to and you have the time to. But what you can do though is sort of say to yourself, okay, tomorrow I'm going to have this particular thing for breakfast, or I'm going to have this particular thing for lunch, or I know what dinner is like almost like prep it beforehand, write it down if you need to, or just know what it is. Because again, when it comes to that time to make those decisions, they're already made, right? You don't have to think about it. Now you're taking time, right? How many of us have like taken the time where you just stand in front of your closet and it may take you like 5-10 minutes to figure out what to wear, right? Or the same thing with eating. Like you may be like, I don't know what to eat. And the next thing you know, like 5-10 minutes goes by. Right. So again, it's really a part of like releasing. We're trying to declutter all the stuff in our brain. We already have more than enough things to think about, right? And one of the things, again, is to think about one or two areas of your life. And it may be something else. It doesn't have to be eating, it doesn't have to be your clothing, but something else where you just know, okay, let me have this particular decision sort of on automatic or know ahead of time what it is. So I don't have to waste my mental energy on it. Especially, this is good, especially when you know you have certain stressful weeks. So maybe you have a stressful week. Well, shoot, the holidays are coming up. So for those of you who are celebrating the holidays, sometimes that's a stressful time or not. It could be joyous, it could be stressful, depending on what's going on. Or if you're traveling, or maybe it's for work or with your kids or grandkids or whatever it is, like especially during those seasons, to make sure you're having those, what I call like the decision free zones, right? So the second tip today is, well, there's different ways to think about this. The second tip is like, you can either think of it as like a thought parking lot, or I also like to sort of call it a brain dump. And I do this often personally as well. But it's where you take the time to jot down. So, you know how like you'll have your to do list. Most of us have some sort of to do list of some sort, but it's also like a list of like, not right now list. So not the to-do list. It's sort of like, let me just get out your, if it's your worries, it might be a to-do type of thing, but you don't need to do it. It's not something urgent that really needs to be on your to-do list, but you're thinking about it. Maybe you have a new idea, like all those sorts of things that our brain just sort of thinks of during the day when before you get to the point where you're like, I'm so overwhelmed, I'm so stressed out. It's like take the time to sort of like get it out of your head temporarily, at least, right? And you could do that by literally jotting it down, write it down, or in some type of digital format. So I think yeah, I definitely do both. So sometimes I have a million places where I write things down, but I'm a writer by just by love and nature. So I like to physically write things out, but also I also keep the notes on my phone. Like I have different categories of different things. I'm like, oh, I gotta do this, or I have this idea, or whatever it is. And I will literally get it out my head and put it on, the notes in my phone. Like I said, you can keep it digital, or you can, if you want to do old school and like write it down. You can do that as well. There's not a right or wrong with that, but it's more of a way to train your brain to say, okay, I'm so overwhelmed. I have so many thoughts going on. Let me try to get it out. Right. So that's a kind of like a thoughts parking lot. Like, let's park it over here. This is for not right now, but you'll get to it. Right. So it's not the to do urgent, but it's like, let's sort of get it out instead of the thoughts just rolling on and on and on in your head. Right. And thanks for those who are starting to join here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment today. Today, if you're just now tuning in, we're talking about different ways to have a mental declutter, because your mind, your brain, and your body will thank you for it, because it's really easy to get into this state. I've been doing a lot of research lately about our nervous systems, right? It's very easy for us to get into fight or flight. So we're like, oh, we're anxious, something's happening, something's about to happen, we got to do this, we got to do that, you got a phone call or a text or an email, and just like we're just in like this, I don't know, like frazzle mode almost, right? Where sometimes certain things call for that, but we also have to work on getting to points where we say, okay, let's kind of declutter. Let's try to release these things from our mind and our bodies, right? Releasing the stress. And then the third tip of today that I want to leave you with is it's something you can do. And I know someone already said in the comments they do this every Sunday, or they do certain things every Sunday. But if you picked like one day a week, right, where you said you want to almost have like a mental closure ritual type of thing. And for some of you, you may want to light a candle, you may turn on some music, whatever it is that just gets you into like a calmer space. And you give yourself, you can time yourself like 10 minutes to do the thing that you didn't feel like doing, right? During the week. So it might have been like, man, I really or not even didn't feel like doing, but you didn't get a chance to do. So maybe there was like a certain appointment you needed to set. Maybe there was an email you needed to respond to, or a text message you needed to text someone back. Whatever is the thing, because a lot of us will have like stuff we're supposed to be doing, but then things happen right through the week, so they don't quite get done during that whatever day it is for you, if it's a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, whatever day it is, you're, kind of like closing out mental ritual during that time, then you take the time to sort of like check those things off, right? Because the goal is our minds will never be, what's the word? It's not like our minds are going to be empty here, right? Like there's always things going on. But your goal again is to work on reducing your stress, right? Working on trying to minimize the things that are happening mentally and dealing with all the stress that tends to come in. And it's completely normal. It's so normal, you all, for us to have stress. Like we know that'll always exist. But again, I feel like the trick, if you will, is to recognize it. Like I always say, right, we talk a lot about self-awareness on mental health moment, but like to recognize it and then start putting the things into place for you to declutter, right? Because today we're talking about declutter, but thinking about decluttering, just as how you would declutter your house, also decluttering your mind. And sometimes even with that, like weekly sort of mental closure ritual, sometimes you need to physically get rid of things. And what I mean by that is it may be some type of, I know I need to actually clean off my desktop on my computer, but it may be things on your computer, and maybe apps that are on your phone, like all those sorts of things. When you think about like mental decluttering, because there's things that just add to our stress sometimes that we can easily work on deleting. Not everything, not everything. But sometimes there's just things that simple, right? Like, like there's an app and you're like, man, I don't even need this app anymore. Or there's things on your computer like, let me delete some of these things, or maybe it's too many pictures on your phone, I don't know. but whatever it is to you, whatever it is for you that you can think about that works on decluttering your mind, is important. We've talked about this before on mental health moment. Actually, this was not on the tip list, but I'll share it with you anyhow. We also talked on mental health moment before about when you think of mental decluttering, thinking about your social media and who you follow and what you follow, I should say. Some things you may not want to have enter into your mental energy space, if you will. So sometimes you might have to unfollow, which is okay, right? Certain things, or sometimes you want to be following more things that are positive, things that are good for you, things that are good for your mental health, right? So it's just a matter of taking that assessment. And again, this takes time. This by no means is an overnight decision, but it takes time. And again, maybe if you devote like the 10 minutes, let's say a week, to say, okay, this is my time to really think about my decluttering. Doing that a week, and then a couple times a week, hopefully you're doing that sort of like thought parking lot. Like, let me just jot this down, or let me just, put it digitally if you need to, or physically writing it out, but just working on getting things out of your mind. And thanks for those who are still starting to join here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. We're about to actually wrap up here, but today we're talking about thinking about how to work on mentally decluttering. The biggest thing I would say about mentally decluttering, if you will, is you know, I feel like I say this every mental health moment, but it really does go back to checking in on yourself. Because let's see, what's a good example. Let's say on the physical side, right? You wouldn't know if there was like underneath your bed or in your closet or maybe a junk drawer in a kitchen or something like that, right? If you didn't look in there, you wouldn't know if you need to declutter or not, right? Like you open things and you're like, oh wow, like I need to, right, clear some things out wherever it may be, right, in your house. Like that's what happens. We go, oh, we need to, kind of declutter this area. But it's the same thing for yourself mentally, right? When you really pause and ask yourself, how am I doing? Again, you could be in an amazing space right now in your life, which is great. Or you could be in a darker season. You're like, you know what? Let me adjust some things. You're allowed to, right? Or, it's like, oh, things are okay. Right. Like, but in either space that you're in right now, it's always important for you to think about, how do I better my mental health? How do I protect my energy? How do I declutter all these thoughts in my head, right? And the other thing I want to say before I wrap up here is sometimes the um, harsh thoughts, negative self-talk, or just difficult things that happen to us are too much. And maybe you've been trying things on your own and you're like, you know what, it's just too much um, for you to handle. And that's okay. If that's the case, I just want to do my quick, public service announcement here. If that's the case, then be sure to reach out to a mental health professional, right? Because there are people specially trained to help you get through the bumps in the road in life, right? If that's the case, sometimes we can do this on our own and sometimes we cannot. Sometimes you need a mental health professional, sometimes you need a friend, sometimes you need a sibling, like, right? But you don't always have to do this alone. So I do want to just say that, because a lot of things on mental health moment, I'm sharing different tips and things like that with you, but sometimes it's just not enough. And that's okay if that's the case. But then the next step is to say, okay, well, who do I need to connect with? Like, is that a best friend? Is that a coworker? Is that a family member? Is it a therapist? Like, whomever that person or people are for you, is going to be really important. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up here. So I will be back next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here live on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live. And as I shared in the beginning of today's broadcast, I will continue as I get more access to reputable resources. I'll be sure to put that in my Instagram stories. I'll put that on in there, related to the resources with the hurricane in Jamaica. So I'll definitely be sharing as much as I can, just things to do. Things to do to support, because there definitely needs to be a lot of support when it comes to this, for sure. But if you need me, you can always reach me, drnekeshiahammond.com. Be sure to follow, connect on Dr. Nekeshia Hammond on all social media outlets. Be blessed. Have an amazing week. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.